Good morning, everyone. I'm Felicia Sanchez-Garbiso, and I'm here at the Lucero Branch Library. And in honor of Native American Heritage Month, I'm going to share a story with you written by Joe Hayes to share with you a little bit about the sky. And so today's story is called Sky Pushing Poles. Many, many, many years ago, when the earth was being created, many people believed, Native American people believed that the earth was created by the earth maker. And the earth maker went from east to west all over, and he piled up the high mountains, and he carved the rivers, and through the rivers and near the rivers he made the big rocks and trees and all the beautiful animals and people that you see today. He even made everybody speak different languages. But back then, the amazing thing was is that even though everybody spoke different languages, they could still communicate with each other. They understood each other. They were all connected to the land that they lived in. However, the only thing was is that they didn't always like the way that the earth was made at the time, because long time ago the sky was not where it is today. The sky was actually really, really, really low, like kind of like where your ceiling is today. And so that was not always easy for all those animals and the people, because sometimes the birds would fly into trees. They couldn't fly very high. They would run into each other. If kids tried to climb up the trees, they might fall over the other side on the other side of the sky and no one could find them. And even the little creatures like the prairie dogs and the moles and the creatures that lived way underground, well, some of those creatures had to go so low and it would be super cold for them. So they lived like this for years, but decided that maybe they could do something about that. Maybe they could work together and maybe they could somehow find a way to push up the sky. So they all got together. Have you ever been in a big crowd of people where there's so many people and all you can hear is everybody's talking this and everybody's saying that and you really can't hear anybody or what anybody's saying? And so they were in this huge crowd and everybody was talking about their ideas. But then somebody heard something really tiny. He said, I have an idea. And they said, shh, 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 everybody, shh. Somebody's trying to say something. And they kept hearing this little sound. I have an idea. And pretty soon the whole crowd moved apart. And the big animal said, shh, I think it's coming from over here. And they looked down and it was a little tiny mouse. And she looked up and she said, I have an idea. Why don't we use sky pushing poles? Sky pushing poles? We can make big, giant, long sticks and we could push up the sky. Everybody loved that idea. They thought that was a great idea. So they all decided that they would work for a good week and everybody around would make these long sky pushing poles, right? They would all work together, and so everybody spread the word. Everybody told everybody. The birds told everybody. Everybody around the world, the word spread that everybody on the same day was going to get together and they were going to push up the sky. So, a long time ago, nowadays we do 1, 2, 3 and we're ready to go. But a long time ago, they would do things 4 times. They would say 1, 2, 3, 4. So can you imagine all those little animals, all the people, all the children, big animals, small animals, even little tiny animals like the little mice? They would crawl up to the top of the trees, and everybody made these long sticks. And so all at once, they all worked together and they all said, on the count of 4, we're going to push up the sky. So can you imagine? Imagine that you were them and stand up and imagine that you had a long, tall stick and you were going to push it all the way up to the ceiling or to the sky where it is right now. And you were going to push with all your might, push up the sky. So they all worked together and they pushed up the sky on 4. They said, 1, count with me, 2, 3, 4. And they all pushed up the sky just a little bit. They were so excited. They worked together. They did it. They pushed up the sky, but the sky was still kind of low. So they decided, okay, let's do it again, again, again. And you can imagine everybody around the world was telling everybody, we're going to do it again. So it was like, again, 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 again. One more time, time, time. So finally, once everybody had the word, they all pushed up their sticks a little bit higher, and they pushed with all their might. And usually when you push with all your might, you make a sound, right? When you're lifting something really heavy. Can you imagine how heavy the sky is? They said, ugh, when they did it. So can you do that with me? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the sky went up even higher. They were so excited. Okay, one more time, one more time. So they spread the word again, and this time their sticks were at the very end, and those tall sticks were all the way up, touching the sky. And so this time they did it with all their might, and when they pushed, they were pretty much on their tippy toes. So they did it on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh! And the sky went up even further. And they were so excited, but they thought, what if we could push it up higher? Then the birds could fly all over, and the kids could climb high, high trees. The trees could grow taller, but they needed longer sticks. So they decided that they would work another week or two, and at the end of the month, they would all push the sky up one more time. So this time they worked even harder, and they made longer sky pushing poles. They were so long. You could just imagine it was almost higher than the trees that we see today. And so everybody got together. And at the end of the month, on the same day, they all said, okay, on the count of 4, we're going to try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! And they pushed up the sky, and the sky went up, up, and it kept floating up, 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 up. And the sky floated all the way up to where you see it now today. And they were so excited and so proud of themselves that they had a huge celebration. They were so excited and so happy. But as the sun went down and they looked up at the sky, they saw something they didn't expect. All of their sky pushing poles had made little holes in the sky, and the light from the other side was shining through. So they laid and they stayed and looked up at the sky, and they counted how many people in the world worked together that day. And so now, on dark, clear nights, as you look up at the sky, maybe you can try to count how many people worked together to push the sky up to where it is today. And that's the story of sky pushing poles. Another fun story that I'd like to share with you is about a smart little turtle who outsmarted a coyote. Now, coyotes are all over this southwest area. I don't know about you, but sometimes you can even catch them way out in the west area of town. Coyotes are fast, but they're not always the smartest. And there was once a little turtle, and he was very curious. His mama would always tell him, you need to stay close by me when we're walking to the river, because they lived in a beautiful part of the river. The river was wonderful. It was cool and wet and perfect for a turtle. But this little turtle, he loved to stop and look at the flowers, and sometimes he would talk to some of the insects, and sometimes he would lose his way. But thank goodness he would always see the footsteps, and he would go back. He would find the prints of where his mama and brothers and sisters were walking, and he'd find his way back. His mama always told him that you have to be careful because there's a coyote around here. And if that coyote sees you, he might try to gobble you up. So you have to remember to always use your wits. Always remember that even though coyote is fierce and fast, he can always be outsmarted. Well, that little turtle never thought he'd have to see that or ever have to worry about coyote. But one day, as they were traveling back to the river, that little turtle saw the most beautiful butterfly he'd ever seen. It was just perched over there on the flower. It was this beautiful yellow butterfly, and he was just drawn to it. As he started staring, he just kept walking closer and closer, and as he got up to the pretty butterfly, he said, "Hello! How are you today?" And the butterfly looked down at him and said, "Well, hello to you. I'm great. How is your day going?" And he just had a wonderful conversation with this beautiful butterfly. And pretty soon she said, "Okay, I better get going. I see some other flowers I need to fly to. So you have a wonderful day." He's like, "Thank you. See you later." But as he turned around, he realized that his mommy and his brothers and sisters were gone. He walked all the way out to the little path and he couldn't tell which way they had gone. Oh, he was so sad. He started to cry. He was so afraid. He was crying and crying and crying. And all of a sudden, there was a big shadow that came around him. And he saw one big paw, another big paw, and then two more around him. And all of a sudden, he heard this big, loud voice. And the voice said, "Hey there, little turtle. I like that song you're singing." The turtle didn't even look up. He said, "I'm not singing, I'm crying. Can't you tell the difference?" And then that voice said, "Hey there, watch who you're talking to." The little turtle realized, oh my goodness, as he looked up, he realized who he was talking to. It was a big coyote. Oh, I'm sorry, said the little turtle. "Anyways, you better watch it around here. You don't talk to a coyote like that. If you don't stop your singing or crying or whatever it is, I'm gonna gobble you up." The little turtle was so afraid, but then he remembered his mommy and how she said that coyote could be outsmarted. And he said, "Oh, well, I hope you don't gobble me up. Have you seen my shell?" He knocked on his shell. "Do you see how hard it is? If you try to gobble me up, well, I just might break your teeth." Coyote grabbed his tooth, thinking about, oh no, he didn't like toothaches. Well, then I'll just punch you and crush you with my paw." "Oh, Coyote, you wouldn't want to do that. No, because my shell is so hard that I might break your paw." Coyote thought about that. He didn't want to break his paw because he needed that to run fast. Well then I would just swallow you whole. I'll just gulp you down." "Well, you could do that, but oh, I really hope you wouldn't, because my shell is so hard that I would just give your tummy a big tummy ache. I would be like a rock inside your belly." Oh, Coyote didn't want to think about tummy aches. He did not like tummy aches. Do you like tummy aches? Nobody likes tummy aches. And then that little turtle had an idea. He said, "Oh, Coyote, whatever you do, just don't throw me into the river. It's so cold and wet over there. I don't care what you do to me. If you want to do whatever you want to do, you want to crush me with your paw, you want to try to gobble me up, that's fine. But just don't throw me in the river because it's just so scary and wet and cold. Just, can you please not do that?" And Coyote got a smile and a little smirk. "Oh, really? You don't like the water, do you? Well, that's just what I'm going to do to you." And Coyote scooped up that little turtle and he ran as fast as he could all the way to the river. And the little turtle was like this. And he got all the way to the river and he went, and he dropped that little turtle in the water. He was laughing so hard and he waited to see where that little turtle was going to go. And the little turtle swam as fast as he could till he reached all the way to the other side of the river, on almost near the shore. And he looked up and he popped his head up and the coyote saw him from over there and he said, "Hey!" And the little turtle looked up at Coyote and he said, "Thank you, Coyote! The river's where I live. You saved me a walk home. Bye-bye." Coyote couldn't believe it. The little turtle crawled onto the shore and met up with his mommy and his brothers and sisters. And Coyote was so sad he couldn't believe that he was outsmarted by a little turtle. And he couldn't believe it, that he was just so sad and so hurt that he just started howling. And there was this big crow flying over the top of him. And he went, Coyote, I like that song you're singing. Coyote looked up. "I'm not singing, I'm crying. Don't you know the difference?" And who knows, maybe that's why Coyote's still howling today. But that's the story of the smart little turtle and the coyote. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.